Hello again, and welcome back to Sit and Learn webinars by Stand and Stretch, webinar series designed to get you involved in online marketing, sort of to create a knowledge space for things that you might not be aware of. And my name is Lucas Schaefer, and I'm with Stand and Stretch, and we're going to be presenting content strategy today. I wanted to take just a few minutes. Does everybody see their control panel up there? Has a little button on it that allows you to raise your hand. Can I get a show of hands? Do you see that area? Very good, very good, very cool. I see people raising their hands. Thank you very much. That also helps me confirm that you can actually hear me, so that's a good feature. Well, today we're going to be talking about something that I'm and our team here at Stand and Stretch has been implementing with a lot of success. Content strategy has been around for a long time. I think with some purpose, it has meant things in traditional publications where it's been set in stone type things. But today we're going to be talking about how to build your story using content strategy online. So a lot of the focus is going to be on digital, online publications, blogging, all kinds of different types of messaging. And I had to say that when I built this, I told our own content creator manager here, Jeanette Crawford, that I said you gotta sit in and just watch this. The research I put into this is pretty in depth. It's great about a lot of different series of events that need to occur during the content strategy building process. But when you're looking at an online website, you really have to think about what the user experience is going to be. And so content strategy helps us define that. So moving forward, a couple of little intro screens here. You'll notice that I'm using a little new format. If you were in a part of our past webinars that we had, just different things. So I'm exploring different ideas. So one of the things here is I wanted to show you a picture of me holding up my hands, and I'm actually doing that right now. And you'll notice that my Twitter avatar is at Lucas L. Schaefer, and please tweet out some things. And if you're talking to us today, post a picture on Instagram of the webinar using hashtags Sit and Learn, Stand and Stretch, hashtag content, hashtag marketing, anything you want to hashtag awesome, that would be awesome. So anything that you want to do and participate in that manner, and we'll review and ask questions later after the webinar. So that's me. I'm the presenter, Lucas Schaefer. And so we have two major sponsors and one sponsor and a partner. Stand and Stretch is our sponsor, allowing us to use their cool interface and their resources. We're an interactive marketing agency specializing in web, mobile, social, advertising, and print. Find out more at standandstretch.com. And one more, we have recently partnered. I know we made a big thing to do with this. We were able to get with the great people over at the Continuing Education Department at Columbus State. And I've partnered with them now. So we advocate their services. Please contact them for classes. They educate people of all ages and provide regional resources for personal and professional development. Very cool group of people over there. So go visit them. So getting right into this, I really this slide, I have 23 slides here today. I'm going to be talking about what is content strategy, how does it work, and then, overall things to think about, including examples. Now, I have my questions bar up here, so if we're going along the way, you have any questions, you're more than welcome to submit a question using your dashboard. Now, will I get to it immediately? Probably not, but if I check on it and you raise your hand and I see that pop up, then I can participate and help alleviate any kind of questions that you might have. So again, you'll see on the right side, I'm going to be trying to detail the information. The topic header will be on the right side, so we're experimenting with some visuals left and right. You also notice that we're using a widescreen variety. Most of the people that are watching the webinar are from a widescreen, and hopefully what I'm trying to do is fit and optimize all of our space in your screen. So if that's some feedback you can give, then if it's not doing that, then that's something I'd like to know too. All right. Excuse me. So content strategy, what is it? So I won't lie, I stole this completely away from the Wikipedia, and I forgot to give a credit to Wikipedia. But Wikipedia, verbally credit, there you go, done. Content strategy refers to the planning, development, and management of informational content written on or in other media written or in other media. The term is particularly common in web development since the late 90s. It is recognized as a field in user experience design. So we're going to be focusing on user experience design using content, but also draws interest from adjacent communities such as content management, business analysis, and technical communication. So basically, I think about content strategy as several different things. You have what goes into your search engine optimization. You have things that go into social media, what channels, what messaging, what type of keywords are you structuring into this content that's going out. And also I think about this as an overall extension of your culture. So if you're in the museum industry, or if you're in an auto industry, or you're in a creative industry like Stand and Stretch, you start to create words and use words that only you in your field kind of recognize, right? That in itself is a content strategy. We internally at Stand and Stretch don't say that, well, we try not to say the word problem, so we focus on saying things like issues, because problems have a negative connotation. Issues to us have that feeling of we can get through an issue and make everybody happy at the other side. So you can see with having these types of things put in mind, you can create a user experience, a customer relationship. You can modify behavior in several different ways. So going directly into just a couple of quotes here, I pulled some of this. I think this is actually from Wikipedia as well. In her 2007 article, Rachel Lominger wrote, words and data to create unambiguous content that supports meaningful interactive experiences. So this is the goal of content strategy, creating an unambiguous meaning very thoughtful, very put together means of using content to support interactive experiences that are remarkable. Here, she also provided the analogy, content strategy is to copywriting as information architecture is to design. So we're going to get through a couple of these pieces, and what I'm actually going to do is walk through sort of a understanding of content strategy, and then we're going to talk about some tools and uses that you can use your content strategy for. Because what we find is that our clients are coming to us with multiple needs: website design, content structuring, search engine marketing, which is Google AdWords, subset of keywords. All of this is a derivative of an overall content strategy. So if you do the work to put a content strategy in place, a policy at your organization, as a customer, even as a business, this kind of thing overflows into just about every part of your business, including branding, messaging, social media, website design and development, marketing materials. The keywords can help you get found by just programming blogs that were built with these subset of keywords. So we'll get to that. I don't want to lose anybody about getting into the philosophy, so let's jump right into it. So hire the right people. Who is qualified to help? So we talk about technology being at the center of most of what goes on in the online and digital marketing world. So who is qualified to help you with devising the right type of online content strategy for your business, for your organization? Typically, there's three people that are going to play important roles in this job. So we have a website developer. One is open to a variety of platforms. Somebody who can really draw the lines and say, well, your organization is going to be best here, and you're not going to find much here. One of the biggest things that I always talk about is that usually when a business comes into our home here, they want to be everywhere. And we go, well, Facebook, your demographic's 70 years plus, Facebook's not going to be your best place to be. So you can kind of get that feel from a developer standpoint. Now, a designer who can, make your vision a reality. So this is a great thing. So, make sure you hire someone who has a search engine friendly method. So somebody who is designing content that can be consumed by search engine, whether it be graphical, mostly contextual. You see there it says no flash, which is very interesting. I saw that and I said, I'm going to put that in there. A technical SEO, so somebody who knows about search engine optimization, not just the guy who knows that you need to put things in your title tag that remark around things, but all the other elements, on page, off page SEO, backlinking. The programming itself is probably the base thing that you would look for. How do you program SEO into websites? So those are really some good terms to take with you. So here we go. Defining our story it comes from determining where the process is put into place. So just like every good marketing and every good business model, we have this sort of cycle. It takes us from insight, setting goals, to looking at the products, tactics, the testing, and then we're looping around. And so determining your content strategy, you need to conceive and implement a great content strategy. The best way to design a site is around the content your users truly need and want. So I want to put a very big, I bolded it, I should have made it a 100-point font, because this is where the breakdown in communication comes with website design and website design client. Most of the times what we try to derive out of what our clients' needs are trying to figure out what the users truly need and want. Because ultimately, if we build a website around what you think your users want and what you think that they need, we probably get a disconnect in the user's experience on your website. So this comes from a lot of feedback from just using and building. We've built over 100 websites here, and I know that one of the most intimate processes that you can go through as a business owner is building out a website that reflects who you are, what your business does, and what your user wants. And if we put all those three in a pyramid, I almost guarantee you that the site ends up being a part of what the website design client thinks the user truly wants. So we want to look at the best way to design a site around content that the users truly need and want. But that's not always feasible. So if you have a lot of good content already, it may be better to look at the assets you already have and try to fill in the blanks. So that's stating that if you have a site that's already full of so much great content that was written and proofed by copywriters, you might not need a specifically built-in content strategy process for your web. So it's very interesting. We need to determine what it is that you really want to target, and usually it comes down to what the users are going to be looking for when they visit your website. So step 2 is start from zero. I think that this is a great opportunity for you to pretend like you know nothing about your business and then start doing some content inventory. What are your products? What are 35 to 40 keywords and phrases that complement your story? Are you a product provider? Do you do professional services? Do you have programs for education? Are you dealing with key terms that you might want to make sure are part of your overall keyword strategy and content strategy, sorry. So this is great, because most of these variables you end up finding out are used for all kinds of things. Target marketing in Facebook. You have retargeting in Facebook, which is really cool, a very new online targeting offering from Facebook. And then Google AdWords. Google AdWords is going to drive people to your site by using keywords to target search engine traffic. And one of the greatest things that you can do is check out this Google's keyword tool, because basically it has everything you need to do to put in 1 or 2 or 3 sets of keywords, and it's going to give you so much data that you're going to be inundated with all the cool stuff, and you're going to end up with 1,000 keywords, which is not going to be an optimal state for what we're trying to do for a content strategy. But you can see here, I want to make sure you have all the resources and analysis put together. So just kind of walking around the wheel, do the content inventory. Look at stakeholder interviews. This is the user personas. Stop people who are coming into your business and ask them what they were looking for when they walked in. Have some kind of feedback model for your website. Somebody calls you from your website, say, hey, what was something you missed out on your website? Talk to people who you know regularly visit these things. So stakeholder interviews are great. Keyword research and analytic reviews, scrumming it up, content analysis and taxonomy, always knowing how to name things, voicing the definition, editorial calendars, and some social media. So we'll get into some of those in depth. So step 2, keyword research. So I really like this. I stole this off Google Images, by the way. If anybody's out there, I give credit to whoever. Google Images. Map the keywords are an important step to getting into the next phase of this. So now we have a set of keywords that we have identified. Now we're basically building an overall informational architecture, which is actually the next step. But at this point, we're looking for patterns in categories. We're starting to group things. We're putting things together. Are there content pages that need to be created? Are we missing things? Because one of the keywords might be some particular service that, guess what, we don't have a landing page on our website. We don't have a process and procedure built into our business around this idea. We're not telling our story effectively enough, because one of the most important keywords that came out isn't a part of our branding and isn't a part of our messaging. How far away are you from the patterns, the keywords that you want to use in your actual marketing? So map a single topic and then start with your keyword list. It talks about not having more than 3 or 5 keywords. I think that's because we're dealing with such a small subset of an initial content strategy. We've dealt with clients that have had over 500 keywords that literally separated into over 40 different categories. So it's one of those things where, like I said, we start from 0, create the 35 to 40, and then you find the patterns and start to group them. So you're looking for categorical analysis on your keywords. So here's the fun part, and all the analytical people in the webinar say, yes, this is my favorite part. Information architecture is a very well-defined product of web design in itself. We talk about information architecture being the cornerstone of how many pages do you want on your website. It sets the value of what we think websites cost. If you're dealing with this at a larger level, like marketing and branding and messaging and putting out information through PR releases and things like that, this can help your PR team understand what parts of these individual content markers and where they fall under and who they're responsible for and what they're going after. So if you have somebody who does a PR release for your business and they're not focusing on key terms that are important to your branding and your messaging, then this needs to be put into play so that when somebody's writing content for your organization, whether or not they're internal or external, they're a news source, what would happen if you handed a news source your content strategy? I don't know what would happen actually, but the thought process is that everybody read over this at one point inside the business and it became a sort of a policy and a procedure. How do they begin to utilize this in communicating when they're talking about your business? So the information architecture is really just a web design concept put into an overall content arena where you could be dealing with social media, PR, marketing, all the pieces of the puzzle, even internal, your employee team handbook, any type of policies, any type of email marketing. This all kind of stems out of an initial ability to create this content. So this is a point at which we involve the developer and designer as well. You'll be providing this to all of your future web designers, all of your future PR people, all of your future developers, and they're going to be able to use this and get past a lot of these points that we find. Internally, one of the biggest issues that we have communicating with clients is getting this information out of our clients. So as we continue to evolve and adapt, we've put processes and procedures in place to try to ease the pain of this elaborate opportunity. So you can see here that there's subsets as well, individualizing pieces of, the one we're actually displaying here is very, very complex. It kind of reminds me of one of our clients right now, but it has an idea that there's a lot of content in that place. So step 5, which I think is actually, could be mistaken. Let me go back and check here. Yeah, I think this is actually the last step. It's write. And if I have to, I'm going to speak to a group of graduate students at Columbus State today about entrepreneurialism, computer science. It's the MSOL group, so it's a combination of different pieces. And one of the things I'm bringing to the table today for them to explain is that blogging, creating content, is a serious thing to build credibility and authority right now in today's marketplace. So write, and write. Write target content. Now that you have a tightly focused keywords around the well-themed copy, it's time for you to get together and start building the pieces of the puzzle, which are the pages. I found this little cool graph. 70% of people say that the content should be safe, standard content that appeals to a huge audience. You should try to keep some of it, a little bit risky and complicated, maybe a little bit more technical, moderately risky, and should appeal to a new audience. So you have this idea. If you're writing copy, I think one of the biggest struggles I have with communicating with people in a non-technical manner is that I also try to make sure that I'm allowing them to learn how to speak the lingo, because in today's world, digital marketing is about knowledge and about how to disseminate that knowledge into spaces to create action. So when you look at some of these ideas here, if we were 100% safe and standard, then can somebody really risk or get that behavior? Or, I'm sorry, risk. Can anybody learn from that if it's just a subset of rules? We're talking about appealing to a new audience. Can we break off the standard people and say, okay, well, this is not for you today. A little bit of piece of this is for those extra people who want that laugh, that emotional, and then to the 10% you have the behavioral people who are wanting a little bit more of the content to be complicated and more explanatory, I guess you would say. So something to consider. I thought that was a great idea to put in place. When you're writing content, you look at the page and you say, I think 70% of the people are going to understand this. I know it's crazy, but it shouldn't be like that. 100% of the people should understand your content, but 70% of the content that you write should be a safe and standard phase so that it can be publicly aware. And if you get into the other pieces of that, then you can, or publicly universal. And if you get into the other pieces of that, you're trying to entice and create behavior modification through the other part of your content. So write lots of copy, do lots of copy, write a lot of copy, do a lot of great things with copy, and put it everywhere. So now we're going to get into some examples, and looks like we're having just a little bit of delay on the slide here. I'm going to click it again and hope I don't progress too far. Okay, cool. So content strategists should strive to achieve content that is readable, understandable, findable, actionable, and the big one, shareable. And so I love this little picture I found of this. This is when you know your hashtag, you're doing it wrong. And of course, I just realized that I misspelled the "your" in there, so everybody can look at that and laugh. Forgot to add an E on there, so I just typed that going on the fly there because I thought it was going to be a funny joke, and look who's laughing now. So the idea is we don't want to write content that's like a huge big elephant that's hard to move. It's hard to try to share. We're trying to search it, and it's not really helping us. And so this is just a really good biopic of what content strategy would look like if it was turned into an elephant and written incorrectly. So yeah, everybody's laughing now. It's great. You're doing it wrong, Lucas. You're doing the webinar thing wrong, Lucas. That's what I should hashtag. So the importance of content strategy falls into the online marketing pieces of the puzzle, and I always rant and rave about this because it is an important part of online marketing. We have the three phases: the get found, the convert, and the analyze. And if you look at the far left there, you'll see that in the get found area you have search engine optimization, which is the SEO. You have blogging, and blogging's part of what we're doing, and then you have social media. Now, what part of that is not content? Every part of that is some type of vessel. So search engine optimization is the ability to program keyword content into your website to be found on the web, right? So if you have a content strategy, how easy it is for you to communicate to your designers, your web designers, your graphic designers, everybody about what the specific targets are for your ability to be found on the web through Google. That makes the day. It saves so much time, and it's really just a tool that you should be able to hand anybody, just like you would give them a file that had your logo in it. So this is very important. So blogging is the vessel of which you create content to get found on the website. So blogging would become, we're actually about to initiate a service at Stand and Stretch where we are going to write target marketed blog posts for our clients on a scheduled basis, and that type of service is going to do two things basically. It's going to allow us to propagate content on the website to allows for great search engine optimization. They're going to be well written. They're going to be specific around a content strategy, and they're going to be out there luring in more traffic. And we're going to not only use that blog post, but we're going to put it on Facebook, we're going to put it on Twitter, we're going to put it everywhere that we've drawn a line to and said that this is a viable area for us to submit content to. And that's into the social media aspect. So what we're getting out of that is the second part of the blog writing is going to be allowing someone to see how it's done. And we've released people with websites across the board, and unfortunately, I don't think we did a great job in explaining to them how important the blogging was. We only gave them the tool, pushed them off the dock, and said, good luck out there. So we're backtracking, and we're going back to our clients and asking if there was any way that we can help them create blog posts to get their content out there, and then B, to also show them how it's done and what should be considered and what should be drawn into the future as they consider blogging as a marketing tool. Cool stuff. If you haven't heard me talk about this three-part cycle, it's very important. I think I had one that's considered around converting and the analyzing analysis of the marketing cycle. What this is you put all these three together, and you kind of have a loop. It's get found, you convert them, you analyze, and then you go back and rewrite the content, rewrite the social media plan, and then move forward. So we're about halfway through. 15 out of 23 slides. I see we have good attendance and everybody's paying attention, which is really cool. I can actually see who's not paying attention. So if you're ever on a webinar, know that the person can tell when you're not looking at the screen because the window tells them so. Pretty cool stuff. Anyway, so the idea behind being halfway through, I was wondering if anybody had any questions up to this point. I was looking at the next slide, and we're actually getting into a couple of other things about where to begin. So this would be a good time to take a break. I'm doing that because I'm thirsty and I want to take a drink of this Pepsi here and give a little 10-second break. Hold on. All right. Does anybody have any questions? A show of hands. Okay, cool. No hands means no questions. Let's move right along. So the big question that you're struggling with right now, I hope, is where to begin, right? So ask yourself all these questions. I don't want to read them off. I think I hate reading stuff like that off, but you should have a very supported role in how to get content out of your business, out of your organization, out of your VPs, out of your clients. Man, this is a okay, look, we had a little question pop up. I had a question from one of our viewers, and I'm going to take just a moment to help this person out. Amanda asked that what is the best background education for blogging? We have fallen on this sword several times by getting people a blog site and then finding out that they're not writers. I'd like to think that every one of us has the ability to communicate using typed words. Some of us write and we go fast and we have bad grammar. Some of us write slow and are very concise and have good grammar. So I think any kind of background education that you would need for blogging would be simple usage of the tools, simple knowledge of tools. One of the tools that we build out is WordPress. Start a WordPress.com account for free and learn how to use the interface for blogging on a productive manner. What we usually find out is when somebody first starts blogging, they really haven't ever written content about their business or about themselves or about their organization. So what happens is sort of like a garbage reduction happens in their brain, and it just seems like they just can't get it all together. And sooner or later, what happens is you start getting the idea of, okay, what am I trying to do? What's my target? And blogging should mostly be about several different things: creating authority, credibility in your industry, creating search engine content for driving traffic. So the best background education is, I believe, would be any type of computer-based MIS or marketing opportunities, any type of journalism. There would be a great ability for a creative writer to come into this opportunity. There also has to be a blend of technology. As we've seen over the past 3 or 4 years, technology is becoming a bigger part of marketing than marketing is becoming than vice versa. So basically what we have, and that's what I think makes Stand and Stretch such an important company, is that we're a technology company first and then a marketing company. And what you see out there in the market space today is you have most marketing companies trying to become a technology company, and that is a very, very tough concept, because if you don't have technology people already on staff, then you're dealing with people who are trying to catch up to those who've been in the industry for quite some time. So thank you for your question, Amanda. I'm going to send a little message. There you go. So now that, Amanda, now that we know what we need for blogging and we're talking about content strategy and how do we start this process? So we had the step-by-step sort of, what are we doing? So where do we begin? So in the case of step 1 and step 2, what services do your client prospects want mostly from you? So what are the core strengths of the organization? How do you feel how do people feel after they use your services? describe your typical customer. Now, the best part about this process is that in most cases, an important aha moment occurs, and this is generally on both sides of the table. It's the business owner or the organization contact, or even a client will say, hey, I didn't thought about that. That's an amazing thing to now include in our content, because that's an important thing to us, but we hadn't really talked about it. So you can see here the walkthrough, and we'll post this later on YouTube so you can come back and check it. But it's very cool how to just get a few simple questions can get you into a whole conversation about things. So here we are looking at keyword mapping. Basically what ends up happening is you get a subset of information. You're looking at user personas. So this is a very unique diagram about what you should be considering when it comes down to identifying, looking at the questions and responses, auditing the current ability, drawing out a map, and trying to identify and create the content itself. You'll notice that the content inventory, this is a really cool thing, because if you're an internal organization, this is not really so much of a web thing or an online thing. This is a very interesting look at how you can break down your inventory of content, things that go out. Let's just say that inventory represents everything that you have that has content: your blog, your social media channels, your customer cycle, your email marketing, right? So who are you trying to serve what? So you have different personas that are going out there. So now you're targeting very specific things with your keyword strategy. So persona A could be a person that is in a buying stage that is, what do they need to find out in the early, in the mid, and the late part of their process with the business. Now, the great part about this is I've actually talked about this in our email marketing strategy, where there's a cycle that everybody exists in when they purchase something online. And if you're in e-commerce and you deal with online digital marketing, you'll know that there's always a entry, a linger, and an exit state. And sometimes you want that exit state to not exist, and you want it to be a conversion state, a purchase state, a contact state. So how are you defining the ability for you to communicate? So you're obviously wanting to tell them different things, right? So if they're welcome to our site is how you would be in the early stage. In a mid state, hey, is there anything I can help you with? You've been here for quite some time. I might be able to push this along. Most of us see this as an opportunity of in a retail store. You walk in the door and you hear this weird sound in the distance. It's, hey, welcome to so and so, and you look and you don't really see anybody. And then that's like the early, and then the mid, if somebody approaches you and says, okay, get them before they walk out of the store, right? That's a sales strategy. But what's the message when they walk up? Hey, how can I help you? Welcome to so-and-so. Is there anything I can help you with today? So you get the idea that this works with the online web. And in the web, you see this translated with pop-ups for chat. So if you linger on a website for more than 2 minutes, what happens? A little chat box shows up and says, hey, are you having an issue with our site? Because we want to talk to you. So you can see that having your content be inventoried by some type of diagram, workflow diagram, content audit, you'll be able to identify where this is kind of where I see key terms and phrases growing. We get to 35 and 40 from our initial state of content design, and then we get here and we're like, well, you know what? We have 10 different user personas, and each one of those states, they're not always in a buying state. They have different stages of their cycle with our relationship. We just met them. They've been clients for a year, and they're no longer clients of us, but we want them back. So that could be a stage for your business. But you also notice very bottom here is the drip marketing, which is technically known as all the stuff we do on a daily basis. So the things you put on Facebook, the things you put out there. There's no specific content strategy. This is your general stuff. This is, hey, it's Throwback Tuesday or Throwback Thursday, sorry, and we want to see all your great pictures of things from the past. And that could be, I stole that from Instagram, just in case you think that I made that up. But Instagram today, it's Throwback Thursday. Every Thursday, you hashtag, and then you could join a group of people who are participating with that. So not to spend too much time here, the idea is mapping is a very key structure in trying to get the next part done, which is working on your user personas. So I can't tell you how many meetings I used to be in where we actually built out multiple layers, and we didn't really use names and things like that. When we just got to Stand and Stretch, some of the early state, we started using pictures and names of people just to be pulling and tugging at the emotional state of all of this. But the idea here is most decisions are made by a committee in most businesses that you work with. Sometimes it's the upper management. Sometimes it's rarely just one person, right? So if we're trying to influence people to do anything, we have to identify who these users are, because ultimately we want to make sure that the content we're creating is specialized to these people. So how do we write content that's general and then get a content strategy put together, an overall content strategy, and then we get to the examples and start making tools and devices that work internally to help us communicate. So you might have people who have donated, initiators, influencers. You might have a past client, a current client, an irate client, a happy client, if you're trying to get into an organization, a gatekeeper, and then you start putting together these attributes. So you see this kind of ballooning out into a very huge structure of information. So attributes like the title, who the person, or the senior vice president, time on the job, works directly with so-and-so, information that you might need, concerns, needs, role in the buying process, where they are. And sometimes you might spend a lot of time on somebody and find out that they're not the person who makes the decision, and wow, you feel like you just got the big runaround, and you realize that all of your effort has been in vain, because they're really, the only thing they're going to do is say, hey, I got this company who wants to do A, B, and C, and not going to give you the story that you have been building with them to their upper level. So didn't want to spend too much time kind of going over the philosophy of that. So the social media becomes very advantageous role for disseminating all of this content. I mean, we see that Facebook is used for continual propagation of daily news. Twitter's used, there's a stat that says the most successful people who use Twitter use it every single hour. And we're talking about businesses, so they're tweeting once an hour. I tweet a lot, but I don't think I tweet once an hour. So the idea of what we do, the personal voice and tone, using words like issue instead of problem, using we instead of I, using team instead of employee, these kind of things help you build the culture. They help you build the personality, and you can use social media to develop these voices and tones. So this is not so much as your content strategy overall, but is as an effective way to brand your culture, to putting in your messaging. So start developing the voice and tone of that message through these channels. So the other idea is to create a conversational calendar. Now, we talk about conversation calendars a lot here, because one of the first questions that business owners have is they show up and they say, Lucas, I have a Facebook page, but I have no idea what to put into it. Well, if you've done a content strategy and you're looking at getting into social media in a heavy way, one of the ideas is to create a conversation calendar using this content strategy. So you have all the cool things you need to know about your business. You supply this to a company like us, and we develop a conversation calendar that's effectively showing off the pieces of your brand. So I got an example here from Facebook, and this is an example of a piece of the outgoing calendar for Facebook. So you can see here that we've broken it up March. This is old 2011, so it's obviously an older strategy, but it still works because it helps identify. So you can see here that we didn't do content for every day, because who wants to schedule out all the content for the entire month? There should be some fluid ability in there. But if you can schedule out work and alleviate that pressure all in one by doing the entire month, but you'll see here that right below the red March 2011, you'll see that there's some themes. So we've themed Sunday's a theme, Monday's a theme, Tuesday's a theme. So we have these themes, and then specifically broke out an entire week of the 6th and given specific examples. So what happens with this? So the conversation calendar, you create it, and guess what? You send it around to all the people who are decision makers in your organization. They reply back and say, well, you know what? On next Tuesday on the 22nd, we're going to be doing that thing. So don't forget to promote that a week ahead in advance. So now we're creating an opportunity for everybody to participate. We have a content strategy, so we're looking at content-specific keywords and phrases and branding and voice and tone. And now you can kind of get the picture of how content strategies really lay the base foundation for putting out content. So what we usually see in an outgoing calendar also is that not only is this used for Facebook, but we create calendars for Twitter. We create calendars for any type of mobile, any type of, I'm trying to think of all of them. I'm drawing a blank. Your blog, all the pieces that we would use to be a vessel for this content. We have now structured and built our content strategy. We are looking at how to put the pieces of it together to make it work and make it strong, some tools that I gave you to use for. And I think my next slide kind of sums it up a little bit. We went through the steps. Step one, defining the story. You got to have that story. This is as important as your elevator speech. Just think of content strategy as your online elevator speech. What is the 30-second thing that you got to get them to understand about your business that's going to keep them, make them a customer and keep them around for a long time? Step two, keyword research. How are you defining all the things that you should be found? When people talk about your business, what are the words that they're saying? How are you going to change all of that? Find patterns and categories. So once you have all those keywords, you do a good old-fashioned keep rewriting them until you get a nice little structure there. Out of that structure, you're going to be able to identify an information architecture, which is all capitalized because it is actually a mechanism, a methodology that helps you define and categorize things for web design and also content structuring. And then start to write. Put it everywhere. Write little things here, little things there. Use content that's specific to your marketing, to your branding, and go on. And some of those tools that I went over, questionnaires, mapping the keywords is a great opportunity for you just to have some fun if you're into that kind of analytical structured environment. Creating user personas, what a great thing for you to sit around with your organization and say, who are the top 5 people that we want to come into our business, and how are we making our website effective for those people? Not us, because our website is great for being a tool, but we're conveying messages to people who visit us and are going to want to visit us or do business with us. How are we designing those user personas to structure people out of thin air that we want to be in our environments? Social media is obviously one of the cool tools to use, quick dissemination of information. And then calendars, multiple calendars, 5 calendars. All of them at some point being edited and monitored by somebody who has an overall idea of what the content strategy is. And I love this little link here. We listen, we plan, we create. This is a great little thing because it's exactly what it should do. Listening is always the big part. Going out there and figuring out what you want to do is not as important as finding out what your most desired customers are wanting from you as far as content. And I think content strategy overall helps you define your business and the ways that you think that you are portraying yourself. And you get that aha moment and you go, wow, without having a content strategy in place, what ends up happening? Businesses are now, your people, your clients, your team members, your customers, your VPs, everybody has their own thought of who you are. A content strategy allows everybody to be on the same page. I know at Stand & Stretch we've worked on that from the very inception of our business, and there's things that we've become synonymous with, and there's ways that we communicate and processes that we have that I know are very unique to us. And we have specifically built those targets around what we think our most desired customer and client is. And once we build that trap, which is the content, and we get our most desired clients in the door, then we know we're most effective working with those people. So a lot of information in that just that one slide, I guess. So wrapping it up, I wanted to tell you guys that we do post our webinars to YouTube. So you should definitely go to our youtube.com/standandstretch and register right now. If you missed anything or if you weren't paying attention, some of you I can see still not paying attention. No, I'm just kidding. But we can go back and watch this again on YouTube later and watch it at any convenient time. Again, this is Lucas Schaefer with Sit and Learn Webinars. I thank you everybody for attending. We had a great audience. I think I didn't have any polls, so if this was your first time, we usually do polls during, but I kind of flung this together in the past couple of days and wanted to just kind of touch on some hard-hitting points that are going to drive your business into the future with content strategy. Thank you guys. Goodbye.